we are seeing about deadlock handling, methods for handling deadlocks. Like we are having deadlock prevention, deadlock avoidance. Deadlock prevention in the sense one of the four conditions which are necessary to occur deadlock, like no preemption, hold and wait, circular wait, mutual exclusion. One of these conditions we will try to avoid so that we can prevent deadlock to occur. But there are some what you call restriction to what you call prevent those situations to occur. That's why we are dealing with deadlock avoidance. For deadlock avoidance, we need to have some prior information, like what is the maximum number of resources of each type a process requires. Such kind of prior information we require. Prior information we need to specify. And we have defined a state called safe state. Safe state is nothing but if a sequence is exist for list of process such that no process will request like P1, P2, P3 like this. If we have up to Pn, P3 should not request the resources which are it is like you consider the resources held by these cannot be requested by P3. Like that we could able to restrict, then we can say it is a safe state. If a system is in safe state, then we can ensure that there is no deadlock. If a system is in unsafe state, then there is a possibility of deadlock. Okay, we cannot say there is a deadlock, but there is a possibility to deadlock. That we can depict from this diagram. If the system is in safe state, then we can say it is in it is deadlock free. If the system is in unsafe state, then there is a possibility of deadlock, like we have discussed with respect to like suppose outside a lot of traffic jam is there. If you go outside, you will stuck in traffic jam. That is a possibility. Okay, traffic jam, let us consider deadlock. If you don't go outside, automatically you will be safe. You will not be in you will not be having that possibility of stucking in traffic jam. That kind of thing we can ensure here. Next, in this particular one, in order to avoid the deadlock, we are having two types of algorithm. One is resource allocation graph based, another one is Banker's algorithm. This one we will use whenever we are having single instance of each resource type, then only we will use this resource allocation graph. Next, whenever we have multiple instances of each resource type, like if we are having two resource types, and this particular resource type we are having 2, and here we are having 3, then this cannot be applicable. Okay, but Banker's algorithm we could able to apply in order to avoid the deadlock. Okay, and we have seen what is resource allocation graph. Just it is whatever the RAG which we have discussed, similar to that, just we are having additional type of edge called climb edge. That is, whenever a process is having the possibility to request another resource in future, then we will specify a dashed line from process to resource. That is climb edge. By considering this climb edge, we could able to what you call avoid the deadlock. Like this is one of the resource allocation graph with climb edge. This is one climb edge. This is also climb edge. That is, the P1 may request R2 in future. P2 may request R2 in future. Let us consider P2 has requested it. Then it will become like this. It will become solid line. And R2 has been allocated to P2. Then it will become like this. Then what will happen? It is forming a cycle from here to here, isn't it? So whenever we are having a cycle, then based upon that we could able to, yeah, this is the situation. Whenever R2 has been allocated to P2, then whatever the climb edge we have, that is being changed to allocation edge, assignment edge. So whenever a cycle exists, then we can say it is deadlock, then that particular request we will deny. Okay, that's what deadlock avoidance by using resource allocation graph. Next, Banker's algorithm, a priori information we need to know, as we have discussed. This is available resources, like three resource types if we have. This is A, this is B, this is C. These type of resources we are having 7, this we are having 2, this we are having 3. Then one process request, okay, first process P1 may request A type of resources to B type of resources to C type of resources 1. Like this, P2 may have its own requirement, P3 may have its own requirement. So that is maximum required. Next, allocation means out of requested, P1 may be allocated with one resource of A, one resource of B, 0 resource of C. P2 also similarly. So it is also n by m matrix. N rows, m columns. N rows are nothing but n process. M columns are nothing but m resource types. Okay, that's what the meaning. N by m matrix. Allocation also n by m matrix. Next, need is nothing but whatever the required, total required, that is maximum, and the allocation from these two, that is this maximum minus allocation, then we will be getting need. Okay, these are the 4 variables that we will be using. Yeah, and here we have defined a safety algorithm. Whenever we wanted to assign, or whenever we wanted to allocate some resources to a process, then we will apply this safety algorithm. If it is safe, then only we will allocate the algorithm, allocate the resources. That is safety algorithm. Next, this is the resource request algorithm which we have seen earlier. What we will do is, first of all, whatever the request made by a process Pi, whether it is less than or equal to available or not, that we will see. If it is available, that is if it is feasible, then we will temporarily will change, like let us consider this is a process state, and temporarily we will change this to another state, like available we will update as available minus request. Why? Because whatever the request process has made, that we are allocating, so available will be reduced. Next, allocation will be incremented. Next, need will be decremented. These 3 will be doing, then it will come to this particular state. Now we will check whether this particular state is safe or not. If it is safe, then we will allocate. If it is not safe, then we will restore the state back to this particular safe state. If it is unsafe, let us say unsafe, then we will restore the state to again to the safe state. That means whatever the request it has made, that we will deny. That is what Banker's algorithm will do. Okay, you can observe here. If it is safe, resources are allocated to Pi. Those resources can be allocated to Pi. If it is unsafe, then Pi must wait, and the old resource allocation state is restored. Old one will be restored. Okay, if it is unsafe, old one will be restored. Otherwise, resources can be allocated. Okay, this is Banker's algorithm. How we can check whether it is safe or not? That we have in this. Whether it is safe or not, how we can check? Like initially, whatever the available one, that we are assuming as work, and if a process is not yet completed, and whatever the need for that process we have, if that need is less than or equal to work, then work will be added with whatever the allocated resources held by that process. Those all resources will be released. So work will be incremented, and the finish of I equal to true. That means the process has completed its execution, and the allocated resources will be added to the available ones. Available is nothing but work. Next, again we will go back and we will try to find another process which is not yet completed its execution, and which is having the need as less than or equal to the available. Then we could able to say that process could able to complete, and whatever the allocated resources we have, those can be added to work. Okay, like this we will repeat. Whenever there is no such kind of process, like we are finding a process which is not yet completed, but need is not less than or equal to work, then we will stop. If no process is yet to complete, then also we will stop. That means we will go to step 4. In step 4, what we will compare is, what we will check is whether finish of I is true for all I or not. That means all the process has completed its execution or not, we will check. If for all the process finish of I is true, then we can say system is in safe state. Otherwise, it is not in safe state. Got it? If no such I founds, then we will go here and check whether we could able to finish all the process or not. If we could able to finish all the process, then system is in safe state. Otherwise, it is not in safe state. That can be checked here. If the system is in safe, then we will allocate. Otherwise, we will stop. We will stop and we will restore the previous state, which is safe. Okay, this is Banker's algorithm, which we have seen in the last class. And now, based upon this, we will see the example. Let us consider we are having 5 process, namely P0 to P4, P0, P1, P2, P3, P4. Next, 3 resource type. That means R1, R2, R3, R, A, B, C. Okay, A, how many instances? 10. B, how many instances? 5. C, how many instances? 7 instances. We are having available vector like this: A, B, C, and A of type 10, next B of B type 5, C type 7. These many resources we are having. Next, at one particular instance, okay, one particular time, we are having, this is the state, okay, this is the allocation matrix, n by m matrix, n rows, that means 5 rows, and m columns, 3 columns. Why? Because 3 types of resources we are having. Now, 0, 1, 0 in the sense, only one instance of B is allocated to P0. Similarly, 2 instances of A is allocated to P1. 2 instances of A is one instance of B, one instance of C is allocated to P3. Like this, we are having some allocated resources to all the process. Next, max is nothing but it is again n by n matrix, as we have discussed. Here, for P0, this is the maximum requirement. For P1, this is the maximum requirement. P2, P3, P4. For P4, this is the maximum requirement. Now, total how many A type of resources are allocated already? 2, 3, 2. So, total 7 allocated. Next, here total how many instances of B allocated? 2. How many instances of C allocated? 5. Okay. Total instances that we are having is 10 for A. So, remaining will be 3. Next, total for B 5 and allocated is 2. So, remaining will be 3. Next, total instance of C available are C exist are 7. Out of those, 5 are already allocated. So, remaining will be 2. So, this is the available vector. Got it? How we have got this? 3, 3, 2. Yes, is it clear, ma? Yes, please respond, ma. Yes, please respond, ma. Yeah. Thank you. Now, available is 332. Now, we have to check whether it is safe or not. Like suppose one particular resource, one particular process has given request, then we could able to make the process to take those resources or not, we have to check. Okay. Now, based upon max and allocation, can we able to get need? Maximum required is this one. Okay, this is the maximum one. This is the allocated one. Okay, this one is allocated one so far. Now, remaining will be need. Okay, what will be the need? It is nothing but max minus allocation. Okay, that is need. See, max minus need, based upon that we will be getting need. Max minus allocated will be need. Just one for one process we will try to see. Let us consider for P4. P4, what is the requirement? 433. Okay, this is the requirement. And allocated are 002. So 433 minus 002, we will be getting 431. That will be the need. Now you see 431. Here, one more process we will see. You consider this one P3. Okay, total required are 2, 2, 2, and already 2, 1, 1 allocated. So remaining need will be, remaining need will be, yes, 2, 2, 2 total required, that is maximum required, and already allocated as are 2, 1, 1. So remaining need will be 0, 1, 1, isn't it? So that we will be having for P3. Okay, this is the need. It is just max minus allocation. Yeah. Now available are 3, 3, 2, which we have seen earlier. Available are 3, 3, 2. Okay, from this we have to allocate. Try to understand here. It's interesting. Yeah, 3, 3, 2 are available. Now, can we able to allocate this? Can we able to give all the required resources to P3 now? 0, 1, 1 is the requirement. We are having 3, 3, 2. Can we able to allocate? Yes or no? Yes, please respond, ma'am. P3 requirement is 0, 1, 1. Can we able to allocate by using these available resources all the required resources to P3? 0, 1, 1 is required. We are having 3, 3, 2. So we can allocate, isn't it? We can allocate. So P3 can complete its execution. Whenever it has completed its execution, not only these 1, 1, it could able to release whatever the allocated earlier as well. Earlier allocated are 2, 1, 1. So these 2, 1, 1 will be added to, these 2, 1, 1 will be added to available one. So we will be getting 5, 4, 3. So this will be the available one now. Okay. Next, can we able to allocate for 4, 3 for P4 4, 3, 1 4, 3, 1? Is it possible or not? 4, 3, 1. Yes. When we allocate 4, 3, 1, what will happen? Whatever the resources held, allocated to P4, those resources can be released. Here you see for P4 0, 0, 2 allocated, so those also can be released. So 0, 0, 2 will be added to the available one. So available will be what? 4, 3, 3. So this will be the available. So this also completed. Next, you consider any other process that we could able to complete? Can we able to give for P1? P1 1, 2, 2. Yes, we could able to accommodate 1, 2, 2. Then whatever the resources allocated to P1, those can be released. So 2, 0, 0 will be added to available one. 2, 0, 0 if we add, then we will be getting available as 6, 3, 3. Okay. Next, consider which process we could able to. 6, 0, 0 is the requirement for P2 and 7, 4, 3 is the requirement for P0. Can we able to allocate for P0? No. Why? Because 7, 4, 3 is the requirement. So P2 we could able to accommodate. So whenever we allocate 6, 0, 0 to P2, automatically whatever the held resources we are having for P2, those can be released. So P2 302 can be added to this available one. 302 can be added. Now we will be getting 9, 3, 5. This will be the available one. Okay. Now we are having only one process. 743 is the requirement. Can we able to allot 743? 302. Let us see what's the 302. Okay, now can we able to allocate for P0? 743 is the requirement. 743, but we are having 935. Where is that other one? 010. Somewhere we did addition wrong, I think. Yeah, I think it will come as 4. Why? Because it is for P1, P0 only. What you call pending, and we are having 3 resources there. Total 5 instances of B we are having. So definitely there should be 4 instances of B. Okay. So 945 if you consider, 743 we could able to accommodate, then whatever the resources held by P naught will also be released. So the total number of resources will be restored, and this is the safe sequence, like P3, then what is the other one? P3, then P4, next P1, then P2, then P0. Okay. In this particular sequence, we could able to complete. So whenever we could able to give this kind of sequence, then system is in safe state. Then we can say that particular request can be granted. Okay. So this is a Banker's algorithm example. Let us continue the same thing, like we are having the allocation, this one, okay, allocation, next need is this, and the available is this. That means on top of the earlier state which we have considered, P2 has requested, okay, P2 has requested additionally 102. P2 has requested 102. Earlier, what was the allocation for P2? Just see. Yeah, for P2, what was the allocation? 302. Okay, this is the allocated. Now let us see. For P2 here, 302, and it has requested another one, that is 102. As this is less than or equal to the available one, which we have seen earlier, 332, we could able to accommodate 102, then it will become, we have to subtract, right? So it will be 230. So available one will be 230. This is the state. Now this could able to, by allocating 102 to P2 also, this is the sequence, okay, in which we could able to complete all the, we could able to finish all the processes. So it is safe state, okay, it is also safe. Next, consider another one, 330. Suppose P4 has requested 330. 330. Can we able to grant 330? If the available resources are 230, can we able to grant 330? No. So it will not be granted. Next, consider 020. Can we able to allocate 020? Whenever we have available as 230, 020 in general we could able to accommodate. Why? Because request is less than or equal to available, so we could able to accommodate. But still, even though that is according to Banker's algorithm, even though request is less than or equal to available, we will not grant immediately. What we will do? We will check. By updating these, we will check whether it is safe or not. That means safe sequence exists or not, we will check. If it exists, then only we will allocate. Otherwise, we will not allocate. Okay. So same thing here also will happen. Like even though 020 is less than or equal to available one, we will check for safe sequence. But you can check yourself that it will not give any safe sequence. So it is unsafe. Whenever it is unsafe, it will not be granted. 020 also will not be granted, and process will kept in waiting. Why? Because 020 will not give any safe sequence to execute, to finish all the processes. That's why by using this Banker's algorithm, in this way we could able to avoid deadlock. Okay. Although 020 is what you call allowed one, like request is less than or equal to available, okay, this particular condition is being satisfied, but it is not giving any safe sequence. That's why we will make the process to wait, we will not grant, and we will restore the safe state. Like whenever 020 has been given, then this will be the state. Now we will check whether it is safe or not. If it is safe, we will allocate. If it is not safe, what we will do? We will restore the previous state. So as this is unsafe, we will restore to the previous state. Okay. By using this one, we could able to avoid deadlock. What is this algorithm? Banker's algorithm. Clear? Yes. Yes, please respond, ma'am. Do you have any doubt? Next, as we have discussed, deadlock can be handled in several ways, but one is prevention. Deadlock prevention, like out of the four, we will try to avoid, we will try to prevent at least one condition so that deadlock can be prevented. If this is not possible, then we will go for avoidance. Okay, in the avoidance we will be having two types of things, that is whenever we are having single instance for each resource type, okay, then we will make use of resource allocation graph. Single instance if you have, multiple instances if you have, then we will make use of Banker's algorithm. Okay, Banker's algorithm we will use. Suppose this avoidance is also not possible, then deadlock will occur. Okay, deadlock will occur, then we have to detect it. So that is deadlock detection. Okay, this deadlock detection, if we detect, then how we could able to recover, that we will see. Okay, that means here, if you cannot able to prevent and if you cannot able to avoid the deadlock, then we will allow the system to enter into deadlock state. Then we will detect because of which process or which process resource requirement it has entered into deadlock, that we will detect. That is detection algorithm. Next, from that deadlock state, how we could able to recover. Okay, these things we will see now. Yeah. Now, when as we have in this case avoidance, two types of algorithms, right? Resource allocation graph, when we will use whenever we are having single instance for each resource type. Multiple instance if we have Banker's algorithm. Similarly, in deadlock detection also we are having two types. Whenever we are having single instance for each resource type, then we will use resource allocation graph only with some modification. Next, multiple instances if you have, then we will use another algorithm. Try to understand. Deadlock detection also, whenever we are having single instance for each resource type, we will use resource allocation graph. Okay, I think you know what is this resource allocation graph. We have seen several times. Next, multiple instance if you have, just a simple modification to earlier Banker's algorithm only we will be using. That is whenever we have multiple instances. Yeah. Now let us consider first a single instance, that is resource allocation graph. Yeah. In this, we will use wait for graph, resource allocation graph only, but we will convert whatever the resource allocation graph which we have constructed earlier to wait for graph. How we will construct is, how we will transform resource allocation graph to wait for graph is, suppose we are having a process P1 and it is waiting for, it is requesting for R1. Next, R1 is held by P2, let us say. R1 is held by P2. Then what we will do is, we will remove this resource nodes. Okay, all the resource nodes we will remove. As P1 is waiting for P2, directly we will be having like this, P1 to P2. This is P1, this is P2. Okay, we will not be having any resource nodes in the resource allocation graph. Okay, then we can say that one as the wait for graph. Simple transformation. Whatever the resource nodes we are having in resource allocation graph, those all we will remove and we will attach to process itself directly. Then what the resulting graph we call it as wait for graph. Okay, I will show you the example. Here you see, this is one resource allocation graph. Here we are having process P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. 5 process we are having and 5 resources. And P1 is waiting for R1 and R1 is held by P2. So what we can do, what is our requirement is, what is the requirement here is, whatever the resource types that we have, resource nodes we have, those all we will remove. That means we will remove this and we will connect directly P1 to P2. Okay. Next, P4, P1, directly we will connect like this. We will remove this. Similarly, here you can consider P3, P4 can be connected. Why? Because P3 is requesting for R5 and R5 is held by P4. So we can connect directly P3, P4. Next, P2 is requesting for R5 and R5 is held by P4. So P2 can be connected directly. Next, R3 is held by P5 and P2 is requesting for R3. So directly we could able to connect P2 to P5. Similarly, P2 to P3 as well. Okay. So this is the resultant graph which we call it as weight for graph. Here you can observe P1 to P2. Okay. P1 to P2 directly we are having. Next, what is the other thing? P4 to P1. Yeah. P4 to P1 we are having. Next, P3 to P4 also we have seen. Next, P2 to P4. Like this, we will be having the directed edges without any resource nodes. This we call it as weight for graph. Okay. Now, the idea here is all the nodes are process only, and Pi to Pj, if Pi is waiting for Pj. Pi to Pj we will be having an edge whenever Pi is waiting for Pj. Now we will be applying whether what is the advantage of converting this resource allocation graph to weight for graph is identifying cycles will be easier. Why? Because the number of nodes will be reduced. Number of nodes, number of edges will be reduced, right? So automatically the complexity will be reduced. Then whether there is a cycle or not, we could able to check in less time. Okay, that is the advantage. So if there is a cycle, then that particular process, those all processes are involved in deadlock. If there is no cycle, then there is no deadlock. Like that, we could able to judge. That is the advantage of this resource allocation graph converting to weight for graph. Is this clear? Next, second possibility is in deadlock detection. As we have seen, we are having two things, right? One is resource allocation graph, variant of resource allocation graph called weight for graph, which we have seen now. Next, another one is whenever we are having multiple instances for each resource type. Whenever we have multiple instances, then again we will be considering several variables, like available is a vector. Like this we will be having A type how many, B type how many, C type how many. Next, allocation, it is again n by m matrix. Next, request again n by m matrix. Okay, these are the data structures that we will be using. Next, consider this is the algorithm for detecting an deadlock. Okay, there are just four steps which we have earlier in the safe state. Similar to that, we are having here same steps, but just a simple difference will be there. I will tell. See here, work is available, and for all the process, we will assume that finish of I is false. Okay, that is, if allocation is not equal to 0, then finish of I is false. Otherwise, it is true. Like that, we will assume. Now, if there exists such a process which is having finish of I is false and request is less than or equal to work, then we will go to then we will allocate, isn't it? If process has not yet finished and request is less than or equal to work, then we could able to allocate. So whatever the allocated one we have, those will be released and that will be added to work, as we have seen earlier in the case of safety algorithm, same steps. Then finish of I can be considered as true. Next, again we will go back to what you call step 2. Okay, step 2. In the step 2, again we will find another process which is not yet completed and which is having request as less than or equal to work. Then we will come to this step and we will release the allocated resources and we will add to work. That means we will make those as available to other process. Like this we will repeat. Whenever such kind of process, if you cannot able to find, then we will go to step 4. In the step 4, what we are checking is whether finish of I is false for any I. If there exists some I which is not yet completed, then we can say system is in deadlock. And what are the process which are involving in that particular deadlock is nothing but if finish of I is false, that particular Pi is involved in that deadlock. There can be multiple process P1, P2, P3 like this, which are having finish of 1 as false, finish of 2 as false, finish of 3 as false. Then these 3 processes are involved in deadlock. Like that we can conclude that is detection algorithm. Try to understand, just a simple modification to the previous one. Just we are assuming, we are checking whether we could able to accommodate the process request. If we could able to accommodate, then we will assume that we have allocated, and whatever the allocated resources we are having, those all will be released. So automatically those will be added to work. Those all will be added to available. After that, this finish of I is true. So that particular process could able to complete. Again, we will select another one which is satisfying this particular condition. Next, we will go to the next one. We will go to the next one. Like that, all process we will try to finish. If you cannot able to finish all the process, okay, if you cannot able to check what you call, find a process to allocate, then we will go to the step 4. In step 4, we will check whether any pending process are there or not. If pending process are there, then we can conclude that system is in deadlock, and whatever the process which are having finish of I as false, those all process are involved in deadlock. Okay, this is about deadlock detection algorithm. Next, how we will use this particular algorithm? This is one example. A is having 7, like available, total available will be this, like 7, this is 2, this is 6. Now we have allocated these many resources. So here total 7 we have allocated, next here 2 we have allocated, here 6 we have allocated. So 7 to 6. Now available is 0, 0, 0, and the request is, for the request, how many we are having, like 0, 0, 0 means P0 could able to complete its execution. Next, here also we don't require any more resources. These P2 could also able to complete its execution. So now if you consider, this is the sequence in which we could able to complete such that all process will get will able to finish their execution. That is P0. P0 does not require any more resources. Next, P2 also does not require. So whenever we complete this P0, automatically these allocated resources will be added to available. That you keep in mind. Next, whenever we complete P2, 303 will be added. So it will become 313. Why? Because 303 will be added to this. Next, after this P3 211 allocated. So 211 resources will be released and will be added to available. So 211 will give 524, isn't it? Next, after P3, P1, what's the requirement? 202. We are having that. So 200 will be added. So here we will be getting 724. Next, after P1, P4, what's the requirement for P4? 002. We are having 724. So whatever the 002 allocated already, those will be released. Then we will be getting all the resources released. So this is the sequence where we could able to finish all the processes. So system is not in deadlock state. So like this we could able to detect the deadlock. Suppose P2 has requested additional instance of type C. Then the request will be like this. P3 has requested, then the request will be 100. Then we could not able to accommodate that particular this is P2, right? P2 has requested this. Then we could not able to accommodate. Why? Because whatever the available we have, that is not less than or equal to this one, need, okay, or request. Request is this, and request of any process is less than or equal to available. Then we could able to accommodate resources to I. But if no such I exists, then we could not able to progress. Then we can say it is in deadlock. And what is the process which is involving in deadlock? This P2. Okay. Like this we could able to consider deadlock detection algorithm. Is it clear? Any doubts so far? Yes, if you have any doubts, you please ask me. Okay. Once deadlock is there, what we have to detect it, then we have to recover from it, right? So how we can recover? Like you consider we will abort all the deadlocked process. This is one of the strategy. Basically, this process termination is the strategy. Okay. Suppose you consider P1, P2, P3, these all are involved in the deadlock. So what we will do is we will terminate all these processes so that deadlock we can recover from that deadlock state. Okay, this is one strategy. Otherwise, what we can do is, suppose P1, P2, P3 are involved. Let us consider terminating P3 itself. Okay, just P3 we will terminate it. Then we will see whether deadlock exists or not. If deadlock is resolved, then happily we could able to progress P1, P2, all these things. But P3, after terminating P3 also deadlock has not recovered. Deadlock is not evaded. Then what we will do? We will try to terminate P2. If that is also not giving the result, then we will try to terminate P1. Like that, one by one process we will try to terminate, then we will see. This is second strategy. First strategy is about all the deadlocked process. Second strategy is about one process at a time until the deadlock cycle is eliminated. Like that, we will we could able to recover from the deadlocked state. Okay, but P1, P2, P3 like that, suppose P4, 4 processes are involved in the deadlock, then which process we will, suppose you consider second strategy, that is one process at a time we will try to terminate, which process we have to terminate first. Then there will be some choices to choose, like what is the priority of the process. Priority process we should not abort, right? If the process having highest priority, then we will keep that process, we will try to see the lower priority process to terminate, so that we could able to serve the requirement. Next, how long process has computed, and how much more to complete. Okay, based upon that, suppose a process has completed 70% and it has to complete only 30%, then we will keep that process. We will not select this process to abort. We will not select this process to terminate. What we will select, suppose a process has completed only 10% or 20%, then this particular process we could able to select. So this is second strategy. Third strategy is resources the process has used. Suppose so many resources already used. Okay, if you terminate, then again we have to request for those resources and all. So by keeping that one in mind, we will try to select the process. Next, resources process needs to complete. How many resources required? Suppose only one resource required to complete, then we will try to try not to select that particular process for aborting. Like that, that is the fourth strategy. Next, how many process will need to be terminated based upon that? Like on one particular process P1, P2 may, suppose P1, P2, P3, P4 are there. P2 is waiting for P1 and P3 is also waiting, P4 is also waiting. Then if you terminate this one, all these process will be released, will be free, right? So we will select such kind of process. Okay, so how many processes will need to be terminated? Is the process interactive or batch? Like any dependency is there. Like you consider bank transactions, if you give some NEFT request, okay, it will not be performed immediately. Why? Because all the NEFT transactions will be put it in batch, like one by one. At a time, all these will be executed. That is batch processing. So whenever we have such kind of batch, it is added to batch means we should not terminate. We cannot terminate one thing. So based upon that, we will try to decide whether we should select one of these or independent process. That is interactive process will be there. Whether we have to select this to abort. Okay, that will be decided. These are the several factors to select which process to terminate. Okay, so this is about deadlock recovery. So these are the issues like which process to release or which process to terminate should have some what you call objective, like minimizing the cost. Next, when we roll back, then what we have to do, like when we terminate a process, whatever the system we have, that system has to be made as a safe state. That means that although the process is terminating here, whatever the updations it has made so far, those all needs to be rolled back. I think if you have completed DBMS, you know the word called rollback. Rollback is nothing but we will be executing some statements. If you give rollback command is also there in SQL, right? Rollback, then automatically these all updations will be cancelled. Okay, that is rollback. There can be some concept called checkpoint. Until given checkpoint, these all these all updations will be cancelled. Suppose if you have checkpoint 1 here, this is 1, this is 2. If you roll back to checkpoint 2, up to this all will be cancelled. If you roll back to checkpoint 1, then these will be cancelled. Like that, rollback command is to restore the previous save state. Next, starvation is, suppose if you, out of the available process, if you select one process to terminate in order to consider deadlock, again this process will come and join here. Again deadlock may occur. Again, if you select the same thing, then always this particular process only will be terminated. This is nothing but starvation, indefinite blocking. So starvation problem may exist. So we should keep in mind that whether we are selecting the same process every time to terminate or not, we have to consider. Based upon that, we have to take the necessary action. This is a deadlock recovery mechanism. I hope you understand what are the things that we have learned about deadlock. Yes, any doubts so far? Yes, please respond now. Okay. Then this is by this we have completed the deadlock chapter. From the next class we will see the other ones. Yeah. In this, basically you need to understand this one. Deadlock prevention, one of the 4 conditions we will avoid. Deadlock prevention, two algorithms. One is resource allocation graph based algorithm, another one is Banker's algorithm. In the resource allocation graph based, we will be using what additional vertical special type of edge called climb edge. Climb edge we will be using. Banker's algorithm we have discussed. Next, another strategy is allow the system to enter into deadlock and then recover. That means we have to detect it. In the detection also we have seen 2 algorithms. One is resource allocation graph based, that is by making use of the special type of graph called wait for graph. Okay, wait for graph is nothing but we will not be having any resource nodes, just we will be having process nodes. Next, another one is similar to Banker's algorithm. We will be running a variant of a safety algorithm, then we will detect it. That is detection. Once the detection is happened, then we have to recover. How we can recover is we will terminate the process. Okay, process termination is one of the things. In this again 2 strategies. One is about all process at a time. Okay, terminating all the process which are involved in deadlock. Another one is one by one we will be allocating. We will be terminating one by one. Okay, one by one in the sense how we can choose based upon some strategies like how much it has completed, how many resources it has used, like that based upon what is the priority of the process. All these things we will consider to select that particular one. And while applying this, there may exist several problems. That is, it has to roll back to the previous save state. Another one is starvation problem may exist, that we have to keep in mind, and we should take necessary actions in order to prevent this starvation to occur. Okay, this is about deadlock. I hope you understand. Yeah, thank you, man. You please enter your rule number and